Thank you for joining us. We're so happy to have you here. My name is Dr. Taketa-Wong. I'm a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist. And for those of you who aren't familiar with naturopathic physicians, like medical doctors, we have to attend a four-year medical school. We're trained as primary care physicians, and as such I can order lab tests, write prescriptions, and do school physicals the same as any other doctor. But there's a big difference. Naturopathic doctors are trained in the power of nutrition to build health from the inside. I use personalized food recommendations, vitamins, herbs, and other types of natural medicines to address the underlying causes of disease. But there's more. There's more to you than just your ailments. You have feelings, emotions, concerns, moments of victory, and moments of relief. As a naturopathic doctor, I treat the whole person. I also have a master's degree in Oriental medicine, which allows me to include Chinese medicine and acupuncture in my treatment protocols. Before we begin, if you have any health concerns that you would like to talk with me about, we offer a no-charge phone consultation called the Personal Health Strategy Session. This is a 15-minute strategy session where we talk about your condition and develop a plan to see how I can help you the most. Arranging a consultation is very easy. Just call our office at 808-425-2987 or text free consult to that number. You can also click on the contact button on our Facebook page. Either way, our staff will contact you to arrange a no-charge phone consultation. You'll find all the contact information right here on our Facebook page. So today, we are having an event called Inside the Amazing World of Chinese Medicine. People often ask me why I use Chinese medicine in my practice. The short answer is because it works. As a doctor, I see my mission as doing whatever I can to help people not only relieve their symptoms short term, but to build long-lasting health from the inside out. Chinese medicine has had 3,000 years of proven results. It's the primary system of medicine used in China, with Western medicine being another adjunct to that. But a lot of people in China will turn to Chinese medicine first when they have various kinds of ailments before trying to use Western medicine or going to the hospital. I know that most people are unfamiliar with Chinese medicine, and when it comes to our health, that can be a barrier to using it. So I decided to use this Facebook Live event to let you make friends with a method of treatment that can make a major difference in your own health should the need arise. In Chinese medicine, the body, mind, and emotions are all interrelated. There are no hard dividing lines between our physical cells and our feelings and thoughts. And when we stop to think about it, that actually makes perfect sense. You can't really separate your muscles from your organs, from your blood vessels, from your nerves. And I think we've all experienced what different emotions feel like in the body. The sagging shoulders and the drooping neck when we're sad, the narrowed eyes and the tight muscles when we're angry, the lifted chest and the bright smile when we feel joy. So let's dive into a way of seeing things that gives us a wider perspective and greater understanding of how our body works. In Chinese medicine, the world is seen as a dynamic interplay of contrasting yet complementary forces. Day and night, up and down, in and out, dark and light, wet and dry, heavy and light, even happy and sad. The two forces can be termed in the simplest way as yin and yang. This may be new to many of you since it is not based on Western logic, so that newness can be confusing. So please just follow along as I paint a picture of yin and yang energy. And it will all start to fall into place as I give you some examples of how it works in the body. So think about the yin-yang symbol. And actually, for those of you who are here in Hawaii, if you've seen a TNC surf t-shirt, you've seen the yin-yang symbol. So this yin-yang symbol is a circle with a white half and a black half with a curved line down the middle. And in the white half, there's a black dot. And in the black half, there's a white dot. And the reason they have those dots is that there can be yang elements within the yin and vice versa. The whole symbol represents that there is a balance of the energy. So yin is everything that is dark, calming, wet, cooling, at rest, or relatively not as much movement. Yin also represents grounding and the lower surface of our body, and also represents deeper inside of the body as opposed to being near the surface. Yang, on the other hand, is everything that is light, fast, bright, relatively more movement, hot and dry. It represents upward motion. It represents the upper half of the body and is more towards the surface of the body as opposed to being deeper inside. If you picture something in your mind, yin is, you could picture the Amazon rainforest at night. So in that image in your mind, there is of course a lot of darkness, there's a lot of moisture, shade, coolness, and that overall feeling, say if you imagine yourself in that space, in the Amazon rainforest at night, it's a very calming type of environment. An opposite to some of those kinds of things would be an image of the Sahara Desert in the middle of summer. So as you can imagine, it's very hot, it's very dry, there's lots of light, and there's quick motion from the animals that live there. Chinese medicine is focused on establishing and maintaining a balance between yin and yang in the body. If there is too much yang energy and not enough yin energy, then the yang energy will naturally rise up. That yang energy needs to be rooted and grounded and balanced by yin energy. So we need enough yin energy to hold down and anchor our yang energy. On the other hand, too much yin begins to really pull our energy down. So we need to have enough yang energy to bring up our yin energy and prevent it from becoming stagnant. And for example, if there's too much yin energy, then there can be, for example, someone can feel tired all the time and they would just want to sleep all the time and they don't want to move. They just want to lay in their bed the entire day, the whole day, and they don't want to move. So that can be too much yin energy, or that can be not enough yang energy. The time when we most replenish our yin energy is when we're sleeping. So if we don't get enough sleep, what happens is that our yin energy gets depleted. Because of our modern lifestyle, because it's rushed, our modern lifestyle tends to be really fast-paced. It's hurry, hurry, hurry. And that kind of pace can really contribute to too much yang energy and can be very depleting for our yin energy. People typically in our modern society usually don't have enough of that yin energy. So meditation is also another thing that really helps to support our yin energy. So meditation, sleeping, relaxing, just relaxing and floating in the ocean. These are all things that can help to replenish our yin energy. Our lives today are typically go, 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 rush, rush, rush. There's working, shopping, helping the kids with their schoolwork, taking them from school to and from work, rushing to work, coming back, hurrying up. And all this constant movement can create too much yang energy, which needs to be appropriately grounded and rooted by yin energy. And that results in the yin energy being too weak. It's not strong enough to pull down and ground our yang energy, which naturally wants to rise to the top of our body. So I've said that Chinese medicine sees the body as being completely interconnected. So what would be the physical manifestations in our body of too much yang energy and not enough yin energy to ground and anchor it? One of the consequences is widespread in our culture. It's called high blood pressure. So high blood pressure happens because there's excess movement and excess of pressure inside of the blood vessels. And that yang energy is driving our blood pressure to be higher than it's supposed to be. Headaches can also be a manifestation of yang energy rising to the top of the head. And for example, if you've got too much of that yang energy that is pushing out, then that can create these headaches. Anxiety is another example of too much yang energy that's not rooted by enough yin energy. So some patients tell me when they have anxiety, they just say, it just feels like my mind is just going and going and going, and I just can't shut my brain off. And it's like I just have these thoughts that just keep going around and round and round in my head, and I just can't turn it off. So I'm trying to lay down to sleep, and my mind is just going a million miles an hour, and I can't sleep. I'm feeling anxious all the time. And Chinese medicine would say that they have too much yang energy rising up into the head, into the brain, to the top of the body. And all of that yang energy is not being grounded, so it's then spinning out of control. And I'll get back to our journey inside of Chinese medicine in a moment, but before we go on, I just wanted to remind you that if you're just joining us, we do offer a no-charge phone consultation so that you can talk with me personally about any health concerns that you may have and about how to feel empowered with your health. Arranging a consultation is very easy. Just call our office at 808-425-2987 and let our staff know that you're interested in a no-charge phone consultation. Or you can text free consult to that number. You can also click on the contact button on our Facebook page. Either way, our staff will contact you to arrange a no-charge phone consultation. You'll find all of our contact information right here on our Facebook page. Now, getting back to talking about these different ways that we can see health conditions that can actually be manifestations of the same types of imbalances in the body. Insomnia, or difficulty sleeping, is another manifestation of too much yang energy that's not being anchored by yin. We need that yin energy to be able to fall asleep. So if someone doesn't have enough yin energy, then they can have trouble falling asleep, and then they don't sleep enough, which further depletes their yin and then makes it even more difficult to sleep. So that can really be a vicious cycle. So one of the ways to help to break that cycle, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but acupuncture, Chinese herbs, acupressure, qigong, all of those things I'll be getting to a little bit later as ways to try to break that vicious cycle. Another symptom that I commonly see, especially in women who have gone through menopause, of not enough yin energy relative to yang energy is hot flashes. So a lot of women get this when they go through menopause, and I have patients who tell me it just feels like this heat that's in the middle of my body, and it's like rising up and up. I can feel it starting down lower, and it's like this heat just like coming up, and then it like rises up, and then I start breaking out into this sweat, and I'm just dripping with sweat, and I can just feel this heat emanating off of my body. And that's not always the way that every woman experiences hot flashes. It can be different depending on the woman, but that's not an uncommon description that I hear of hot flashes. And the physical reason why women experience hot flashes in menopause is that their estrogen levels drop after they go through menopause and they stop having their period. And looking at it from a Chinese medicine perspective, estrogen has a very yin effect on the body. And so when there's not enough yin, then that yang becomes excessive. It becomes too much. So I want to stress that these symptoms are very common for women today, but they are not normal. So just because they're common doesn't make them normal. The reason that they tend to be common, especially in our modern society, is that our lifestyle tends to be overly yang in nature, and there's not enough yin in our modern lifestyle. So if a woman has gone through her entire life with too much yang energy and not enough yin to ground that, by the time they get to menopause, their yin energy is already at the bottom level. And then when the yin energy drops even more, then they suffer from all these menopausal symptoms. So I mentioned hot flashes, again, because there's too much yang that's rising up and not enough yin. But other types of symptoms that we see in women who are going through menopause, they can also experience anxiety. They can experience difficulty sleeping. They can have vaginal dryness. And all of these can be examples of where there's too much yang energy and not enough yin in the body. Now, conventional medicine will often treat these symptoms with hormones, like hormone replacement therapy. However, it is well known that typical hormone replacement therapy can come with some increased health risks, including certain types of cancer, such as breast cancer. I rarely have to resort to using hormone replacement therapy because I generally have really good success treating these types of imbalances with Chinese herbs, with Qigong exercises, acupressure, and certain kinds of foods. And there are specific things that you can do that will help to increase and strengthen the yin energy in your body. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about some ways that you can be able to help to support the yin energy in your body. So, so the yin energy, there is an acupressure point that helps you to be able to support the yin energy in your body. So as we talk about these points, we aren't going to be doing acupuncture, of course, but acupressure can be very helpful and is something that you can do on your own. I do tell patients generally acupressure is not as strong, it's not as potent as acupuncture, but used consistently, it can definitely help to support the balance of energy in your body. And the points for acupressure and acupuncture are the same. So there is a point in our body that supports yin energy, and it's called kidney 1. It's on the bottom of your foot, just below the ball of your foot. So if you want to, you can just Google kidney acupressure point, kidney 1. So this is a major point that you can press on your body to be able to help to increase the yin energy in your body. It's a major point for acupressure, for insomnia, anxiety. It's a great point for grounding yourself if you're feeling really stressed out, if you have high blood pressure. And this is a point that you can really focus on in your body. One of the things that I tell patients to do is I will often tell patients to stand barefoot on the ground. If they can be outside, standing on the grass or on the bare earth, that's even better. And I often will tell people to visualize that point on the bottom of their feet and then growing roots down through the bottom of their feet down into the earth. And really visualize as you're visualizing roots growing down into the earth. You can visualize yourself like a tree, and just like how a tree drinks up nourishing nutrients through its roots and water, you can really visualize drinking in and taking in nourishing energy from the earth. And then as you breathe out, visualize just letting go of any stress, any negativity, anything that you don't need to hold on to. Just as you breathe out, just visualize yourself letting go of any of that stress and just letting it go out through your body, through those points on the bottom of your feet. So what I'm going to do now is to talk about some different organs and what they represent in Chinese medicine. And this is going to help you to see how Chinese medicine sees the physical and the emotional symptoms as interconnected, and how there really isn't a separation in Chinese medicine with the physical and the emotional symptoms like how we separate out in Western medicine. In Western medicine, oftentimes many doctors will only really talk about the physical concerns, but unless they're a psychiatrist or a psychologist, they really don't often get into the emotional side of things. And I think that can be a problem in that really the physical and emotional can be very much interconnected. And Chinese medicine sees that connection with how it views our internal organs. So for the first example, I'm going to start with the large intestine. So the physical function of the large intestine is letting go of waste products, of stool, basically, that we don't need anymore. So that's, of course, the function of our large intestine, is letting go of our stool or our waste products. In Chinese medicine, the large intestine is also associated with being able to let go of emotional and spiritual waste products, toxic feelings, anger, toxic feelings that we don't need to hold on to anymore. And when people have a hard time letting go of those toxic emotions, then in Chinese medicine, that's really viewed as a function or a dysfunction of the large intestine. So treatments include acupuncture and acupressure. I'm going to show you some acupressure points that can be really helpful. So these are just a few acupressure points, and these, of course, are I don't find it as effective as acupuncture, but it is something that you can do for yourself. And what's really interesting is that I see some people who have a really hard time letting go of these toxic emotions. They tend to hold on to these kinds of things. They have difficulty letting go of the emotional and spiritual crap, so to speak, their waste products. And not uncommonly, some of those people tend to be constipated too, which is really interesting because their tendency, again, is to hold on to these waste products, either physical or spiritual, and not just let go of it. So there's an acupressure point. It's called large intestine 4. And for acupuncturists, by the way, this is actually the 5-element location of that point, which can be a little bit different than the regular acupressure. But if you look at your hand, basically, so you can see that over here there's a V, and large intestine 4 with the 5-element acupressure point is actually located right here. So if you just feel like this soft spot over here, and it's right where you would feel those two bones come together, and then there's like a soft spot right there. So you can just press on that point, and that's large intestine 4. So that's a great point that can be really helpful for helping to nourish the function of the large intestine. There's a number of other acupressure points. Just by way of time, I'm not going to go through all of them. But this is just a sampling, really, in terms of some acupressure points that can be helpful. And have you ever noticed, too, that if you're constipated physically, it can affect your mood? I see that all the time. I see that with many children with autism. I see that with a lot of patients who come in, and they tell me that they just feel, if they're constipated, I've literally had patients who are only having a bowel movement once a week, sometimes even less than that. And I've had patients tell me that they feel on edge, that their emotions are more easily triggered, and that's because there's this buildup of waste in their body. And that buildup of emotional and spiritual waste can also accompany the physical aspect. Moving on to another organ, the small intestine. So what's really interesting is that the small intestine in our body is responsible for sorting out the parts of our food that we eat that are nourishing and distinguishing that from the waste products that are sent to the large intestine so that they can leave the body. So our small intestine is responsible for that sorting function, for distinguishing, okay, what are the parts of the food that are nourishing to me that I need to absorb and hold on to, and then what are the parts of the food that are waste products that I don't need anymore, that I can just let go of. So we hang on to the nutrients for our body that needs it, and then we let go of the rest. Now in Chinese medicine, the small intestine is also corresponding to the ability to be able to distinguish and discern what is nourishing emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And so on a spiritual and emotional level, the small intestine is responsible for sorting out, okay, what are the things emotionally, spiritually, mentally that are nourishing to me, that I need to hold on to, and what are the things that I just need to let go of, that I don't need to hold on to anymore. And some people can have difficulty really being able to sort out what are the things that are nourishing to me and what are things that are waste products, that are toxic to me, that I really just need to let go of. And one of the things is that when people hold on to things that they shouldn't, or they let go of things that they actually need to hold on to, then that can result in emotional, spiritual, and mental confusion, or they're choosing the wrong things. And that again would be a function of, again, of the small intestine in Chinese medicine. So I'm sure that you could think of times in your life when you're really having a hard time being able to discern what things should I hold on to and what things should I let go of. What is really nourishing to me? What do I need in my life, and what things do I need to let go of? So an acupressure point that can be helpful for the small intestine is small intestine 4. So this is a point that's on this side, that's on the side of your pinky finger of your hand. And this point is, you can feel like usually this bone right over here on the edge, and if you just go right over the edge of that bone, and then you can feel this soft spot over here. So that's where small intestine 4 is. So again, so you can just press on that point. I'll often have people just kind of press and then release and then press again, and release and press. So that again is a point that's nourishing to your small intestine. Moving on to another organ. Our lungs are responsible for physical inspiration and expiration, so breathing in and out. So on a physical level, we breathe in air with life-giving oxygen, and we release carbon dioxide, which is a result of the natural functioning of our cells. From a Chinese medicine perspective, the lungs are responsible for spiritual inspiration, taking in enlightenment to receive life-giving spiritual nourishment. And when we lose our ability to connect and to feel inspired, or if it's weakened, then that could be an imbalance in the lung energy. There's an acupressure point called lung 9, which can help to strengthen the lung energy. And so this is again on the hand, and it's as you go on this wrist crease over here, most people have like a crease. And lung 9 is on the side that's closer to your thumb. And basically what you do is you can usually feel like this bone over here. And what you do is you just go right over the bone, and then you're pressing into this hollow over here. And that's lung 9. So again, on that point, then you can just, so you can press and release, press and release. So again, the lungs are responsible for spiritual inspiration as well as physical inspiration, and that ability to connect and feel inspired. And our final example for today is the pericardium, which is a membrane or covering around our heart. So it's a physical membrane or covering around our heart. And the physical pericardium protects our heart from infection and damage. And the pericardium isn't really considered separate from the heart in Western medicine. However, in Chinese medicine, it is considered to be a separate entity. And in Chinese medicine, it's translated as pericardium. Another English translation is the heart protector, or the heart wrapper or envelope. So the Chinese name for the pericardium, or the heart protector, is Xin Bao. And Xin means heart, Bao means wrapper. And in Hawaii, with our familiarity of Chinese food, we have enjoyed char siu bao, even though it's not, I don't know how authentic it is. But char siu bao, or in Hawaii, it's also called manapua. But char siu is the pork, and then bao is the wrapper around the meat. It's a bun. It's like a bread bun where there's meat in the middle, a pork, and then bao is the wrapper around the meat, basically a bun, a piece of bread where it's wrapping the pork. So it's the same character bao, which is the wrapper. And so xin bao in Chinese medicine, bao means the wrapper, or it's an envelope. And so again, it's also translated as the heart wrapper, heart protector. So again, as I mentioned, the physical pericardium, or the heart protector, protects our heart, our physical heart, from infection and damage. In Chinese medicine, the heart protector, it sees the heart wrapper, or the heart protector, as a protector. So what's supposed to happen is they talk about our heart protector as having a gate, and that gate is supposed to open at times when it's appropriate to open our heart emotionally and spiritually, emotionally or spiritually. So that gate is supposed to open when it's an appropriate and safe time to open our heart to others and to share it with others. And then if there is danger, emotional or spiritual danger, that gate is supposed to close shut to protect our heart emotionally and spiritually. So when our heart has been hurt or traumatized, I've definitely seen a number of patients, and it's very common, where what happens is that gate for the heart protector tends to get stuck in the closed position. And so in those instances, people have a really hard time being able to open themselves up emotionally, spiritually to other people. They have a hard time opening up, being intimate emotionally with other people, because they've been hurt or traumatized in their past, and that gate is stuck in the closed position. So I'm sure that many of us have experienced that on different levels, or know someone close to us who has experienced that, or is going through that. And people can have a hard time being open to others and trusting other people, and it can be difficult to share their heart with others even when it is appropriate, or even when it is safe. And on the other hand, the gate of the heart protector can get stuck in the open position sometimes. And when this happens, then it can be hard for people to close their heart in order to protect themselves. So an example that you may have experienced yourself, or have heard about, when people are in abusive relationships, particularly women, but it can happen to men too, but particularly when someone is in an abusive relationship and they're getting hurt physically, emotionally, spiritually, and they need to close that gate. They need the heart protector to close to protect their heart, but they have a really hard time being able to close that gate, and that gate gets stuck in the open position, and then they just continue to be hurt over and over again. And sometimes there are times where people are inappropriately intimate or sharing everything too much with other people when it's not an appropriate situation. So there's an acupressure point called pericardium 7, and this is a great point for helping to nourish and balance the heart protector. So this point is again on the hand, and for most people, if you flex like this, you'll be able to see there's two tendons. You probably can't see it too well on here, but if you hold the hand down, and then if you're holding your arm down and you flex it, you can often see that there's two tendons that will pop up. And basically on the hand, pericardium 7, so it's a point right over here, and it's right in the middle of that wrist crease, and it can be between those two tendons. There are some people who have a normal anatomic variation where they don't have one of those tendons, but basically it's on the wrist crease, kind of right in the middle, and so you can press on that point. And I do want to emphasize that this isn't just a case of, oh, I'll just push these points on my hand and everything will magically be okay. These points are supportive, they're not curative, they're not magic, but there are literally hundreds of points throughout the body that can be used to help to bring us back into better balance. And also it's important to know that you will get more effectiveness with acupuncture, which does have a stronger effect. Chinese herbs and Qigong exercises can also be really a valuable element valuable elements in your treatment. And what I really want to say is that there's more to my approach of medicine than just finding and treating the underlying cause. Because when you think about it, the naturopathic method is really a way of empowering people. And I can assist them in understanding what's happening in their bodies and why. And then I can be able to help them to use this knowledge to take greater command of their own health and well-being. And just to share stories, I have definitely seen patients where they've come in, where they've had difficulty with some of these physical and emotional functions. And for example, I have a patient who was really constipated and had a really hard time being able to let go of toxic emotions in her life, and was really holding on to a lot of these things. There was a lot of self-judgment, a lot of negativity, a lot of anger towards herself, as well as anger towards her parents for things she had experienced, and she was having a really hard time. And one of the things we found is that as we worked with changing dietary choices and doing acupuncture and having her do some of these Qigong exercises, doing Chinese herbs, her constipation resolved, but also more importantly, she started being able to let go of some of these toxic emotions. And it was certainly not an overnight process, for sure, but she started having this experience of being able to finally, after so many years, finally being able to start to let go of some of these things that she just held on to for so long. And that really led to a big transformation, because a lot of these toxic emotions were really affecting other parts of her well-being, emotionally as well as physically. And we really saw a transformation in her as she started to be able to let go of these things for the first time in her life. And it was really interesting to see that as she started to be able to let go of these toxic emotions, her constipation also improved, and she had an easier time being able to let go of her stool as well. So what have we covered today? I would say that we've dipped our toe into the enormous body of knowledge that is Chinese medicine. We've learned that in that system there are two contrasting yet complementary energy forces called yin and yang. And we've learned that these energies need to be in balance in order for us to enjoy good physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health. And we've also learned that there are acupressure points that you can use at home to help keep your body in better balance. So I encourage you to learn more about Chinese medicine. It's truly an amazing and highly effective method of healing. And if you would like to arrange a personal health strategy session, our phone consultation for people interested in talking with me one-on-one, we're offering it for free. Just call our office at 808-425-2987 or text free consult to that number. You can also click on the contact button on our Facebook page. Either way, our staff will contact you to arrange a no-charge phone consultation. You'll find all of the contact information right here on our Facebook page. Mahalo, and I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Aloha.